Good afternoon. I want to call our meeting to order for today. And right now, I'm going to go ahead and call us into closed session, and then we'll re-adjourn for open session.
And then if there's comments for closed session.
Right now, I have no speaker slips for the closed session, and if anyone wishes to speak to items on the closed session, we'll take those speaker slips. Other than that, we'll adjourn to closed session.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll start our public session. And at this time, I don't believe we've done a roll call, so the clerk could call a roll, please.
Please state your name for the record. Member from the City of Colton.
Frank Navarro.
Thank you. Member from the City of Loma Linda.
Phil Duper.
Thank you. Member from the County of San Bernardino 3rd District.
Dawn Rao.
Thank you. Member from the City of Highland.
Penny Lilburn.
Thank you. And members from the City of San Bernardino.
Theodore Sanchez.
John Valdivia.
Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Burrows, any reportable action items on the closed session?
Mr. Mayor, there were no reportable action taken in closed session.
Very good. At this time, please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Councilman Sanchez to please lead us.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman. Going into our items to be added or deleted, Mr. Burrows? Any
No items, sir.
Moving on to conflicts of interest, are there any disclosure items from board members? Very good. Item G, Executive Director's Report, Mr. Burrows.
Yes, today we wanted to focus on really two of these. One you see in the material, a couple of upcoming potential activities. As you have in the backup information, that item, we've been a partner with the U.S. Department of Commerce International Trade Administration now for some years, and have an international trade agreement with them, and that provides us some unique opportunities to showcase the region with international visitors from time to time. So we are anticipating a potential visit in September from a Dutch Logistics Council, which hopefully we can pin down a date on here soon. I'm supposed to talk with those folks on Friday, and we'll provide additional details on that. And then we've had an offer from the Chinese consulate in Los Angeles to host an international trade activity here in October. We're going to be talking with them at length tomorrow, and we'll have more details after that, but wanted to give you the heads up on it. The other item is a personnel update, and I'd like Ms. Pritchett to give you a couple of updates and introduce you to some really, really exciting new people. So.
Yes, thank you. As I previously shared with the Director of Business Development position, we did have 25 applicants for the position. Of those, the consultants team conducted video interviews and recommended 5 for interviews with staff. Since that time, 3 of the 5 candidates have accepted positions with other agencies closer to where they currently reside, so it slimmed our candidate pool significantly. Mike, Mark, and I had an opportunity to have lunch with the consultant earlier this week, discuss the recruitment at length. He has a better idea of the skill sets we're looking for, the duties of the position, so we have extended the posting a little bit further so he can increase the candidate pool, and we will identify a date to do interviews in the future. So we'll keep you informed as we get more information from the consultant. The Director of Finance position, as you know, Bill Garay has retired from the IVDA and SBIAA. We are happy to have Alka Chudasna here as our acting finance director while we continue the recruitment, which closes September 13th. We do not yet have a date scheduled for interviews, but we will keep you posted as we move forward with that position. As Mike mentioned, we are very excited to start our second session of Generation Go, which is a collaboration with the San Bernardino County Workforce Development Board and the City of San Bernardino Unified School District. This is our second session, and for the next 16 weeks, Kevin Rodriguez from Bloomington High School, and Selena Cordar from Colton High School will be spending their afternoons with not only the SBIAA team, but with a number of our local resident tenants as well. So we're excited to have them on board. Their first session was a lot of fun. We will have a wrap-up meeting at the end of the 16 weeks where our students will provide a PowerPoint presentation on their experience here at the airport. And Selena is here. Kevin has not yet made it, but we're happy to answer any questions that you might have of us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Very good. Moving on to item number D, Technical Advisory Committee. Mr. Burrows.
That is really just an informational item. It's something that comes up each year, but what we normally do is have that per policy in the month of August. I have discussed the issue with our members and advised them that we are engaging in September on the 9th in a planning workshop with the commission, and it would be more appropriate to have that meeting first, get that feedback from the commissioners, and then follow up with the committee after that point, and they are amenable to do so.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on to commission consent items. Is there a motion for approval or any polls on it?
So moved. I'll second.
Oh, sorry.
Very good. Well, great. That's great. All right. If there are no objectors to those items, Ms. Ferris, then we'll go ahead and, if there's no objectors, please state it. Otherwise, it's so moved and ordered. Thank you. All right, moving on to commission action items. Number 10, Mr. Harris.
Thank you. This item has to do with the improvements that we made along 3rd Street from Victoria to Palm Avenue. Back in 2015, we received a grant from the EDA to proceed with that work. The work included widening the street to its ultimate width, provide new surfaces, new stormwater collection systems, realignment of the underground utilities that needed to be moved, curb gutters, sidewalks, new lights, LED lights for efficiency. And during the process of getting the local utility to do their work and move their items out of the way, we had an extended amount of time lost due to coordinating with Edison, coordinating with the city of Highland, and it took almost a year and a half to get to this point beyond what it should have been. So at this point, the contractor has requested to be released from the work. The amount of work that is left on the job is Edison is still required to move a feeder to a vault, which, interesting enough, they had already moved the vault, but they decided not to move the feeder, which was still in the way of a new catch basin. And there is currently no schedule from Edison to have that conduit moved out of the way so that they could finish the work. So what we have worked out with the contractor is that we will release them from the project. We'll take a credit for the work that they did not complete. And once Edison does come through and move that conduit out of the way, talking with the staff of Highland and the work that they're doing on their grant, the piece of the corner at 3rd Street and, can't remember the name of it, sorry, will be completed under the grant's auspices. So what we're doing here is we're requesting that the project with Mattich be closed, and we will receive the remaining funding from the EDA that we are due, and we will continue on working with Edison to try to get a date for them to move their conduit, and then we will work with Highland and their staff to complete the corner that's not quite complete yet.
Very good. Board members, questions? Okay. And your request is?
To close the project, release the remaining.
Is there a motion to that
retention.
effect?
Yes.
Motion?
I'll move it.
Happy to second.
Cool. Great. All right, let's go ahead and call roll on that one.
Yes.
Member Navarro?
Yes.
Member Duper?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Lilburn?
Yes, but I do have a comment. Is there anything, after speaking with the city and their staff, is there anything that we could do on the political side to contact Edison to see what we can do and how we can move this project forward?
There's always a chance of getting some movement, but we have contacted the local
Mark Cloud.
planners.
Mark Cloud?
Yeah, Government Affairs. Let's make that call.
I'll make sure that we give him a call. I need to
Yes,
speak to him
squeaky
anyway.
wheel on this is more than welcome. The other project that Mr. Harris was mentioning is we got a second grant from federal EDA, which is why they really are asking us to have you consider closing this one, because they do have another phase of third and fifth,
Sure.
which will be the one to connect third back. And we need to get this out of the way before that work starts. So any calls you can make, we're doing the same.
Absolutely.
Most appreciated. Just, Jim can give you a couple sound bites in there. and
Okay, I'd appreciate
with the
that.
location.
And then perhaps we can all call him.
Yeah, if you need my help,
All of us.
I'm happy to help.
Okay.
Yep.
Or write a letter of support.
So we'll get you the specifics
Get it
so
done.
you know who we talked to and
I
what we're waiting on.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
And then continuing with the vote, Member Valdivia
Yes.
and Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is this on the corner of 3rd and
Central, I believe.
Central.
Central? Okay.
Okay, very good. The item passes, and item number 11 is Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is for the amended and restated leases for Unical Aviation. Unical Aviation is in the aircraft parts and aircraft maintenance business. And they've been experiencing smart growth on the airport, both in terms of employees and in capital investments on the airport. So one of the reasons this item is before you today, because as they have grown smartly, growing from an initial 8 employees at the airport in 2014 to over 200 employees today, they've also had an increase in the number of leaseholds on the airport. So if you look at the diagram up on the dais, that's the large hangar that we're talking about that's part of this leasehold. And they started with 1 lease in this building, and that grew into 5 that we're looking to consolidate today. I've got to say they've been an exemplary company, worked very well, and happen to be our largest tenant on the airport today. So along with that smart growth has come a growth in our own administration of the agreements, both for us and for the company. Starts to become a little clumsy to keep track of, but also the company itself is looking for some certainty with the airport. And the major provisions of the agreements, of the combined agreements together, I'll go through them here real quick. So we're talking about 4 lease agreements and 1 license agreement, and that would be consolidated and restated into a single lease agreement, and that's what's in the agenda package today. So the size of the premises do not change. We're talking about 318,754 square feet across 5 agreements. That footprint would remain the same, but it would be under a single amended and consolidated document. And here is a diagram of what that looks like. So it's the 2 large hangar bays, its back shop support area, and some low roof hangar can't be used for aircraft other than helicopters. That's the portion that you see on the diagram before you, behind what's called Bay 2. Monthly rent actually stays the same now until their capital investments and the rent credits that come from those expire in June of 2020. Thereafter, the lease rate resets to what it would normally be, which is $84,717 per month. And again, they're in a rent credit period right now, but in the future option periods, those rent credits expire. So as part of that initial deal with the initial agreement, there was no CPI due to the capital investments. And of course, next year, the CPI adjustments begin kicking in each year thereafter. Right now, the airport pays for utilities, and those are recaptured through a common area maintenance charge. The amended and restated lease would move the electrical meters into Unical's name, again for ease of administration. And the last one is the initial agreement term expires June 30th of 2020, and this amended and restated lease would include 2 option periods. The first would be 7 years, and a second option period of 5 years. We believe that Unical is a great company. They've been a great corporate partner, and recommend passage of this item.
So point of order, I'm going to turn over the chair to Penny. I have an abstention. I'll be leaving the room on that.
Okay, thank you for your report. And so do we have any questions, comments?
I'd like to move to approve.
We have a motion for approval.
I'll second
And
that.
we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Just for the record, too, I just wanted, we need to note that Mayor Valdivia did abstain and stepped out of the room.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 12. Get my bearings here. My apologies. Mr. Burrows, consider the updated action plan.
Yes, thank you. So where we find ourselves in August, under the original plan back in July, we normally would do the technical advisory committee, as I talked about, but we're going to defer that till after the workshop. And by so doing, allowed us to move the 763 lease consolidation forward. So you just took action on that, and thank you very much. But going into September, we do, plan on that workshop on the 9th. We're already working on getting ready for that, and I'll be back with further details on it. On October, the other element that we do every single year is a update on any operating policies. These are, staff-oriented things like purchasing and accounting and those types. Being that we're in audit season, our auditors also give us some feedback that we try to implement as best practices, and Ms. Pritchett does an amazing job of consolidating all that and presenting it to you in batch, and that is underway as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burrows. Item number J, added and deferred items. Are there any items? Very good. Open session public comment. If there are any members of the public would like to address the commission or an issue. I don't see any. Moving on to commission member comments. Any commission members? I want to extend my hearty appreciation. I know that the City of Colton had their State of the City, and we wish a lot of good luck to the City of Colton. And Mayor Navarro, I apologize I couldn't be there. I intended to be there, but some emergency came up. But we heard a lot of good stuff happen there, and we're wishing a lot of success in your city.
Thank you.
Any other commission members? All right, very good. And this time we will now adjourn to our meeting on Wednesday, September 25th. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.